everyone. Welcome back to The Mill. My name is Rachel Ballatori, the founder and CEO of Mill & Co. and your host. I'm joined by a powerhouse human being today. Very honored to have this woman with us on our podcast, the one and only Diane Fitzpatrick. Diane, thank you so much for being here today. We're really honored.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you today.
Yeah, likewise. So let's get to know a little bit about Diane. Her pronouns are she, her, and hers. She's currently the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club in Manchester, New Hampshire. Her crucial role at the club is creating, communicating, implementing, and sustaining strategic initiatives. Her focus is to lead and participate in programs, explore opportunities for strategic partnerships, and position the organization to pursue emerging opportunities. Her responsibilities include providing programmatic leadership and input for all strategic plan implementation processes with the board of directors and the staff. She's also responsible for coaching team members as they implement the strategic plan and transition program operations. Diane has over 30 years of experience in higher ed, marketing, and business-to-business development. Before her position at the New Hampshire Center for Nonprofits, Diane was the Dean of Admissions at New England College. She's a dynamic leader who effectively and successfully managed the demands of a goal-oriented, high-pressure management team while facilitating various business-to-business relationships. Diane was named Excellence in Small Business and Nonprofit and the New Hampshire 200 Most Influential Business Leaders. Diane has been committed to children and children's issues for over 30 years. As an advocate for kids, she's loved being a part of a team that continues to bring new solutions to schools and to nonprofit partners, families, and children. She served as the president of the board of directors at the Webster House in Manchester and previously on the board of New Hampshire Center for Nonprofit. Diane is serving on the board of directors of St. Mary's Bank, Manchester Proud Council, Friends of Iron Advisory Board, Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce, and the Manchester Advisor Board for New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. It's exhausting just reading this. In 2022, Diane was named Boys and Girls Club of America's Executive of the Year for the Northeast region. This award recognizes Diane's significant leadership and contributions within her organization, her state, her region, and nationally. For those who are wondering what I meant by powerhouse, hopefully that is abundantly clear.
Well, thank you. Wow, right?
It's nice to hear that back, yeah? I'm sure you don't really read your bio that often.
No, and it's just amazing because it's just a journey, right? I look at this whole experience as a journey, and I've been surrounded by so many incredible people. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, well, and I'd love to hear about it. I mean, talk us through what led you to the Boys and Girls Club of Manchester.
So yes, my career has always followed my children. And in the early years, I was a kindergarten teacher and I wanted to be with my kids. And then fast forward, I realized I needed to go to college. So I went back to school and landed a wonderful position working in higher education. And I fell in love with it. I loved working with students. So I worked my way up through the ranks and became the Dean of Admissions at New England College, did a lot of international recruiting. I was 40 years old when I first got my passport, and my first trip was to Hong Kong, and and Japan, and then I did a lot of trips to China and Japan, and I just absolutely was so blessed to be able to have that experience. My kids joke like my mom was always out and about, but I just felt it was important to have a career, and I didn't realize at the time that I was juggling so much, but being a mom and having a career. But I'm so glad that I had that journey.
It's admirable as someone who does not have children of her own yet and looks at that as this insurmountable feat. What keeps you motivated and inspired in your work and your family and just kind of juggling it all?
It's interesting as I age and through experience, I realize women, we seem to have to sacrifice so much of ourselves. I think, we're just natural givers. But I felt to me, my purpose was finding where I can lift others. And every position I've had, I've worked really hard to make sure that I was making a difference from, early childhood education to working in higher education. And then when I landed here at the Boys and Girls Club, the journey has been very, very interesting. And I think there are moments in your life that you have to make these decisions. Yeah. I've had so many of them, but one of the best was to find my purpose here at the Boys and Girls Club in my community.
Yeah, that's incredible. And my mom has a saying of, if you want something done, ask a busy woman. because like we're the ones that get the shit done, you know?
Yes, yes,
And the
yes.
busier I am, the more productive I am. And so I'm hopeful that I can be like you someday and be this just absolute powerhouse in all aspects of life and all the great things that you are. And I'd love for you to share if you're comfortable. What's kind of an unexpected fact or thing about you that most people don't know?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was thinking about that a lot. I remember, I think when people getting my passport at 40, because I love to travel, but being able to go to China and Japan and do presentations. And I don't speak foreign languages. I don't at all. I mean, I've got my Massachusetts accent. And I remember going on stage in front of like 70 families and talking about the importance of education and passion about as a mom what we want best for our children. And so I think it's, just taking on new experiences and just having the courage to say, well, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
that mentality. And I was raised by pretty strong women, my mom, my grandmother, and my aunts. And so I think when you've been raised to be that independent, you kind of don't think twice. You're going to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, I too come from a long lineage of really incredible, powerful women, and so and I hope to leave that legacy behind me. And just talking about leaving legacy, empowering people, you work with kids, and I mean
Mm.
that's just such an important time of their lives for you to kind of catch them in this bubble. Can you share some really inspiring transformations that you've personally witnessed throughout your time at the Boys and Girls Club?
What I love about our role at the Boys and Girls Club, we are mentors, and we get to see our littles grow up. So we start at 4 years old, 9 months, going into kindergarten, all the way till they're alumni. And so to see that progression, and I was talking to somebody today, I can't believe it's like been 5 years ago since COVID. And this building had all the community leaders in here 5 years ago talking about how are we going to face this challenge. And
Yeah.
then we became this little school and watching these young first graders who've never been in school before. And now fast forward where we are and they're reading, and they are social. And despite all the things we hear about the after COVID, our kids they're going to be okay. They're
Hmm.
experiencing something that we never experienced in education, but because of the resources that the Boys and Girls Club had here, I've seen the growth of our children being able to read, do math, or the self confidence, their leadership skills. So I think that's a piece that when I reflect and see how our team are true role models, you see how the kids have moved through some challenging situations. And we're more than just an after school center. We are like this community center. So I've had one Christmas, a family, I'm going to say holiday season. It was during the Thanksgiving, and we give out turkeys and the Thanksgiving meals. And it's just, I mean, the holidays here, it just like fills my heart. Like, I don't need a present ever again in my life. Like, this is the present, right?
Yeah.
And you see families getting a turkey and all the fixings. And this one family said, Diane, I can't take it. We're getting evicted right before Thanksgiving. That is so heavy, right? It just on my heart. But what I love about our community is I can pick up the phone and call my colleagues and say, listen, this family is in crisis. Give me their number. Let me see what I can do. Got goosebumps just thinking about it. The family was able to stay in their home. Didn't even know that there were services available to them for rental assistance, advocacy for not getting evicted. And to me, that's what this is all about, helping people navigate the system. And I say system in a way of a positive way, how to communicate with the schools, how to communicate with different nonprofits so that they can get one step above or one step ahead. Um, there can be a negative word about systems, but the system I'm talking about is a very positive one that's removing the barriers and allowing families to access the services we provide as a community. So I feel like it's been just a great collaboration over the last 10 years. I can't even believe I've been in this position 10 years. But 10,
Well,
yeah,
it's a good sign that it feels so quick to you, that you've
it
made a
does.
big impact. It's been a long time, but it also doesn't
Mm,
feel it, which is incredible. And it's so fascinating to think about the impact of the global pandemic on education.
hmm.
As you were saying that, I was reflecting there were some young women from Johns Hopkins University that I was mentoring on the
Oh,
women's
wow.
lacrosse team. And a few years ago, even I was like, "How are you doing?" And they're like, "Well, this is my life now I don't really know. I bring up examples of, oh, did you get to do this, or have y'all done this? And they're like, well, no, we can't. And it was the first time it really hit home for me of I have all these moments and experiences and learnings and failures just as a
Hmm.
college student, which is a really important time of maturation that I got to
Right,
experience that these young folks didn't. And then to
right,
zoom way younger and think about first graders who were like, this is all foreign to me. And so the work
right.
that you're doing, and for anyone watching, if you've never been to the Boys and Girls Club of Manchester, please go. Please reach out to someone and schedule a tour. I was blown away. I personally wanted to enroll as a student to come into the club. I could not believe how incredible and full and vibrant and detailed, and from the science rooms to the art rooms to the theater, the cafeteria. It was just, I mean, it is incredible what you all have there.
It feels like it's an enrichment center. That's the way to look at it.
100%.
And it's enriching kids' lives, family lives, our community. We hosted an event here this morning, a quick one, and it was just nice because, we have pickleballers utilizing our gym. It's a community center, and I want
So cool.
the community to know, like, we belong to you.
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting to think about your transition from higher education, business
Mm.
development, nonprofit leadership. How has your leadership style evolved, if it has, as you've kind of transitioned through these different roles?
I think early on, I knew I seeked a mentor constantly,
Mm,
a sounding board, somebody that I could lean on to kind of help me navigate the world. And, as I look on now, I feel like I'm doing the reverse. I'm trying to demonstrate that shared leadership style
mm,
and looking at my team more patient than I was with myself,
mm,
to see where they're at and identify goals to help lift them. So yeah, I think it's really kind of a balancing act and identifying what the priorities are, but it's that shared leadership model and trusting that failure is not a bad thing.
mm,
We can learn from those teachable moments.
mhm.
But where do we go from there? And so, yeah, I think I've over the years developed more patience, and just understanding the definition of what a leadership model and recognizing, like, I'm not supposed to be everything to everyone.
Mhm.
This organization is not everything to everyone, but
Right.
collectively as a community, we are lifting and we are making a difference in people's lives in our community. So I think that was sometimes we put on this superwoman facade that, oh yeah, I've got this. In reality, you do not need to have all of it. What you need to do is have the wisdom to say, you know what, I don't have that answer, but I know someone that does. And let's see how I can navigate this with you.
Right.
Um, that took me a while, but here we are.
I know, and I feel fortunate that I've learned that lesson pretty early on. In fact, when I launched my company 7 years ago, one of the things I told myself repeatedly is know what you don't know and go
Hmm.
find someone who does. Because I'm not going to sit
Exactly.
here for a second and waste my own time pretending that I know things that are just way above my pay grade, you know?
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
and I've moved more swiftly through
Mm.
life and business by like throwing my hands up and saying, this is totally out of my realm. Let me go
Hmm.
find someone that can help me do this faster. Um, there's a book that I was recommended to read called Who Not How, and of course I'm blanking
Oh.
on the author. But it talks about how, when you're young or you're thinking of a dream or something you want to accomplish, it's like, all right, how am I going to do this? How do I do
Hmm.
this? How do I get all these pieces together? It's rare that we shift our mindset into who do I need to surround myself to accomplish these things?
Exactly.
And so I think if leaders can incorporate a lot of that, building the how
Hmm.
very naturally comes. And speaking from personal experience, being in the Boys and Girls Club of Manchester, leading that pasta day, one of the things
Yes.
I
That was.
was so impressed with every staff member that I met was their level of patience and accountability. And I don't know if I
Hmm.
ever shared that with you. I left that
No.
day feeling like this is a group of people that cares, that holds the kids accountable for their role, and holds
Hmm.
themselves accountable to set a good example. I was just blown away.
It's embedded in the culture. So thank you for sharing that because I just feel like it's just that is part of the culture. I walk down the hallway, you know that we have over 500 kids a day, and I'm getting hugs, high fives. I'm getting, oh, you need to walk. but it's just this culture, and it's that safe place where kids can just blossom, or
Right.
we can help kids find their way. So I love that part about it. I think that's the magical part. Like even this morning, I came in early and I got a big hug, and I miss Diane. It's just awesome. And I mean, how many positions I've had that every day I'm living that mission. Higher ed was a little bit like that, but I mean, I've always had to have that mission connection, and pretty fortunate that my career has been surrounded by kids and great people.
Yeah. Well, and you built it that way as well. Definitely give yourself some credit in that. And when you talk about nonprofit organizations, there's a lot of good
Mm,
they do. It also
mhm.
comes with a lot of challenges. And so I'd love
It
if you could
does.
share, what are some of the biggest challenges that come with leading a nonprofit organization and
Mhm.
how do you navigate them?
Right, right. I think right now more than ever, it is a very challenging time for
Mm,
nonprofits.
mm,
I think with any administration, it has its challenges, but this one is extremely challenging.
mhm.
And we're not going to be quiet about it, but we must stay on the balance beam.
Right.
And so, what I'm learning through that is I have to bury my thoughts on my true opinions and
Mhm.
come up to the priorities. What are the priorities today? What do I need to do? How can I navigate this without my personal, and I say personal because we all have this inner voice that's saying this isn't right,
Right.
but what's best for our organization. So I think as nonprofit leaders right now, we are kind of figuring out who can we turn to
Mm,
navigate, the new bills at the state level, or
mm,
the immigration policies that are being rolled out. And knowing that we're not alone, but surrounding yourself by experts, as we were just talking about. I think those are the challenges. And, fundraising is very, very hard. It's all about relationships.
right.
But I think as the economy is shifting, we're worried about what the ability for people to give back financially. And then my colleagues that rely on a lot of federal funding, how is that going to be held back or rolled out? So
Right.
I'm a little anxious as we go into this 2025, saying, well, we just did 2020 fantastically. And we didn't know where we were going. It was a very dark day. So
Yeah.
my attitude is 2025, we're going to navigate it, but we're going to navigate it together.
Right.
And just remember that you got to stay on that balance beam and get the facts and listen to your truth, your own truth.
Yeah. Well, and to have to foster collaboration between for-profit business, nonprofit organizations,
Yes.
various community leaders and organizations. They all have their own prerogative and
Hmm.
priorities, but yet you all collaboratively need to come together in order to actually affect meaningful change. I mean, how
Right.
challenging is that? Or do you feel that, within the state of New Hampshire, in Manchester as a city, that we're doing well here?
I feel, in the last 10 years that I've been doing this, when I first came here, I was kind of like green eyed and all excited. Still am still very excited. And I was able to go and pick up the phone and call people because it's New Hampshire. This is what we do.
Right.
And then slowly we all have, depending on the leaders, but even as new leaders come in, there's this connection to this common message is how do we lift our community? So I feel like in the last 10 years, it's been a lot of fun, and a lot of navigating, a lot of trust. I think trust is a powerful thing. And I think we need to continue to put that in the forefront. We need to trust one another, that we have our own personal agendas aside, and how are we going to move it together for the future leaders, for the people we serve. And that's going to be the piece that you have to check in every time.
Yeah. And if you're you years ago, prior to moving into the nonprofit space, and you're looking at the landscape of 25 and beyond, what advice are you giving someone that's looking to make that leap into nonprofit leadership?
It's a great question. I never in a million years thought I would be doing this. I loved higher education. I just, I love my students, and I think education is so powerful, and that experience in higher education, it just is transformational for one's life. Um, but I fell in love with the Boys and Girls Club because it was my purpose. And I felt like I wanted to really make a difference. And it wasn't about money is important. We all know that, right? And I was later in life when I came here. And so to me, I wanted to give up all of those images what the world thought I should be, and go with my heart and lead with my heart. And it hasn't done me wrong.
Yeah.
The bills are getting paid. I'm enjoying each and every day. I'm surrounded by very, very talented people. So I think it's just trusting your gut and knowing, like, I want to get up every day and enjoy and love what I do. And I'm not saying it's perfect. There are hard days. And, I said, some days I say, I'm going to lose my cookies, all these kind of things, the little sayings I come up with. But, I think at the end of the day, my legacy is going to be like, she cared. She cared about kids. She cared about family, and her value and her values are really making a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I hope I'm
Right.
doing.
I think that's beautiful. And, you know, how would you describe your personal values and the values of the club? And do you think that they're aligned?
Oh, absolutely. Because I don't think you could work here if the values didn't align. And it's really that respect and caring and the empathy and leading with all of that and instilling that in everyone. I think that is the piece. You want a culture where people feel respected and lifted and that they can have a voice. And more than ever, I want our kids and my team to have a voice. And for a while there, I kept saying, oh, I'm getting older and not older, but I'm moving on in my career as 10 years into this position. Maybe my job is to grow a little smaller, grow my team larger. And I'm like, whoa, I've never been small. That doesn't even make sense. But growing my team larger, right? That is really important. Empowering them, lifting them. So I'm not going to grow smaller. I'm going to continue to be me, right? But
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to find ways that each of my team members have the ability to have goals. What are your personal goals? Even if they're not here at the Boys and Girls Club, where do you see yourself? How can we help you get where you need to be?
Right. Yeah, I love that. I have the same mentality with my team. And I say to them, maybe putting my own foot in my own mouth, but I say, like, it's unrealistic to think that you'll work at Mill and Co forever.
Right,
I'd love that, right? That'd
right,
be great, but it's unrealistic. And I say this to every intern that comes in the door. This is an internship. Your family, yourself, and your schoolwork are always going to come before this. So
right.
take this
I love that.
for what you feel you need to get out of it. Don't think about the long term. What's my end goal here? What's the career I want to end up in? What's the job title and the salary level that I'm looking to have? What can I gain now that I don't currently have? And
Exactly.
I don't know many leaders outside of you, to be honest, who approach their people like that, because that is, I'm kind of giving them free rein to be like, come here, learn as much and leave. Certainly that
Yeah,
has happened, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Because
right.
my purpose is to continue to grow this organization, and it's going to take a lot of who's to come in and out to do that. And
Exactly.
I love the values question. And at Mill and Co, our core values are kindness, empathy, open communication. Those are
Mm,
my personal values. Those are our company values. And not only of how we feel and treat each other in terms of internal employees, but also external contractors and our clients. We
mm,
establish that relationship out of the gate. You can get advertising services from anyone. You can't
right.
get good partnership from anyone. You can't get a reliable, wonderful enhancement club for kids and families in need and just want a safe place to be together.
That's absolutely right. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it's
Values are important.
I'm really proud of that. And it's something,
It should
anytime
be.
we meet a new client, it is usually slide 2 of our deck is
Oh,
let me just start this presentation with our values before I even tell you what we're going to do for you. I just need to make sure we're clear. And it
I
can be
love that.
it's a little gutsy, to put that in
It
there.
is.
I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do to help you until we discuss, we got some housekeeping stuff to talk about.
I like that though. I like that. But isn't that so transparent? I mean, and if we could do that more often and not do the song and dance and then later on be disappointed or what have you. I just, it's all about relationships. It really is.
100%. And if, for those watching and the club, I mentioned earlier, if you haven't been, you have to go. Other opportunities for the public and the community to get more involved in supporting the club, attending events, being there, and uplifting your mission.
Absolutely. I think we're the best kept secret in town, right?
I agree.
These these myths are, oh, those are where the kids go play after school, and it's a
Yeah.
certain economic population that goes there. No, those doors are open for any child. I mean, we go and we pick up kids all over the city. Every public high school we go up and we bring them to school. When we pick them up, we are for the children. And so I think if I know if you go to our website, you'll see opportunities to donate opportunities for volunteers. I love getting companies connected. I love it when I see the values of a company saying, we want to get our employees out in the community and volunteering. So if you go to our website, you'll see all kinds of lists of volunteer opportunities. We also have a special evolution tours where they're posted on the website, but we'll do them anyway, anytime, any way you need, where we'll bring actually a bus. We did this a while back for a company, and we brought a bus and we picked up all their employees, and they took the bus over to the Boys and Girls Club and had a snack, and we did a tour. So we're a lot of fun. It's the Boys and Girls Club. But what we ask when people come and visit or volunteer is to go out to the community and say, hey, it's more than just kids dropping in playing basketball. They've got a food pantry. They do. We have a mobile farm during the summer months. They have access to connecting families to important resources. So, we have a mental health counselor, mental wellness, really helping families, our children, especially managing those feelings and emotions. So we have a mental health counselor that's here 6 to 8 hours a week. All of these, we have our Zen den, and we do yoga. Don't you think the world should do yoga more and
I
have a little
love
bit
the
more
Zen
Zen?
Den, by the way. It's one of my favorite rooms in there.
I love it. And then in the summertime, we just switch everything, and we have a summer camp program out in Bedford, 20 acres. And every program that we have here are STEAM to reading and education to boating and swimming and sports is out there, as well as our Zen Den. And so, and then this building here is open during the summer months for our tweens and teens, who, of course, you want here, right? You want the teens to know that we're open from 12 to 8, because teens aren't going to get up in the summer. Let's just talk about that, right? And it's $10 a year for a teen or tween to come here. So think about, I don't know if you've seen the latest stats for families of 4 paying childcare. They're paying $34,000 a year for 2 children to do childcare. Yeah, that's crazy. So going back to my, 30 years ago, advocating with Governor Shaheen at the time for worthy wages, we got to fix this. And so what I'm so proud of is we remove the barriers and we allow families to come and access all that we have to do. So our kids aren't paying to play, to do African drumming or go into our teen center. There's small fees. Yes, I got to pay for the transportation. I've got to pay for our food program. We feed them breakfast, snack, and dinner. But those fees are affordable. And then we raise money for scholarships. So we'll be doing a campaign in the summer, Send a Kid to Camp. It is the greatest thing because we want to make sure our inner city kids have the ability to have a camp experience. Yeah. And think back, I don't know if you went to summer camp, but it is pretty powerful when a child gets an experience, a day camp.
Absolutely. I love, by the way, how animated you get when you talk about this. And I think that's a really good sign of a good leader who really genuinely deeply cares about the work that they're doing.
Thank you.
You and Boys and Girls Club will be tagged when we share this on all of our platforms. So for those watching, I strongly encourage you, as someone who had never been there before and has now been there several times, please reach out, please support, please pass along the word. It is an incredible organization to be a part of. And Diane, I'd love to kind of wrap up this conversation with kind of a big question.
Okay.
Whenever you decide your time is up at the Boys and Girls Club of Manchester, what do you want to be remembered for? What's the legacy you want behind you?
It's hard to think because I can't even imagine not being here, right? I had a young boy come in. Yeah, he came in my office. He's like, "Dan, when are you going to retire?" I said,
"Never.
20 years. I don't know."
Me out of here.
Yeah. But I just think that I led with my heart. I led with my heart, and my first priority was always this organization, the children, the families, my team. And then I'm so incredibly grateful for the generosity of our donors. We're a legacy organization. We were established in 1907, and we have donors that continue to believe in our mission. And that's incredibly humble. I'm so humbled by that, the generosity from the community. So just to know how much I appreciate everyone lifting our kids and our families and allowing us to evolve and allowing us to think bigger and better and bolder, because that's what we need to do. Our kids deserve the best, and I am determined to give them that. So that's my goals right now is how do we get better? How do we get bigger with expansion? And how do we think bolder for our kids? And that's through programming.
I think that's really beautiful. And I think you are well on your way to leaving your mark on this organization. And you already have for the last 10 years. Diane, I can't thank you enough. This has been So incredible to talk to you and hear more about your story. For those watching, please engage with Diane and other members of the Boys and Girls Club of Manchester. Please check out their website, donate if you are able, share it with your employer. Please, please get involved. Diane, I can't thank you enough.
Rachel, thank you so much. This is so much fun. And thank you for sharing our story out there, because we'd love to have people in the community know how amazing this organization is and to be part of us.
I could not agree more. Happy to amplify. Thank you all so much for tuning into The Mill. We'll see you next time.